ask you please just to speak to those Newcastle means in practice.
And me as a diverse and inclusive community, one of the reasons why I'm standing for Lord Mayor is I actually want to see the council and the Lord Mayor position, or the council in particular, council governance, be a lot closer to the people. Multiculturalism means that people are respected. There's not a attitude that people who are from a different cultural or national background or language background have any deficit, that people are actually very important parts of the community, and we all bring different aspects which we need to bring out and understand and foster and engender. So that's what I want to do, and I'll just point out that my practical experience in this area is the fact that I've had the privilege of working on 3 different continents in international development work, and I'm also bilingual. I speak Spanish and have been very much involved in what was in the past called heptacals, which was community language learning in schools, and also very active in some of the Latin American communities back in the early days when people were newly arriving in this city. But really it's a question of council, being close to the people, having good relations with all the different communities, and understanding what needs are, and working together in a way that starts to address the structural issues that many communities in this city are facing.
What do you feel are the key challenges facing multicultural and First Nations communities? And the second piece of the question, the important piece of the question, what is one action you will deliver in your first 12 months?
I've addressed the question of racism, which I understand is on the rise. The other issue that I think, and I also alluded in my opening presentation, about the need to address the systematic disadvantage that many communities are actually facing in our community. The whole question of housing, being able to afford a place to actually live, is absolutely key. I would hesitate to actually make a commitment on a promise without actually consulting with the community that has a vested interest in this whole question. So that's what I say when I say I want to bring the council closer to the people. I would come straight to the different communities and find out what are your ideas. What is what you would want the Lord Mayor to achieve in their first year. And as an example, I'll just jump back to what I was saying before. On First Nations people, we are seeing the latest Closing the Gap report that the outcomes for Aboriginal people are still lacking. We're still way behind. There are still intergenerational questions of trauma and accumulated health disadvantage which need to be addressed. So that's really something that we need to acknowledge. I would hope that we have some progress in our own small way. We could make contributions to that in the Newcastle community through council actions that are obviously within the legal framework which council can operate. The whole question of systematic disadvantage, which I think is real and which needs to be addressed. And I'm also hearing some really unfortunate reports of incidents of actual racism that people are facing, and in some of the communities. So it's really important that we get to this and address it urgently. Thank you.
Third question we have for you is, how will you work with core organisations and grassroots community groups to design and to deliver inclusive services and language access, and how will you fund it?
The fact that the council needs to be closer to the people, be closer to the community that it represents. Council is supposed to be the level of government which is closest to the people. But in Newcastle, unfortunately, we haven't seen that over the past 20 years. We've actually seen a rise in what I would call neoliberal corporate governance in council, which actually becomes remote from the people. Now, on this whole question, I value language And I've had the experience of trying to learn a language in a country where I was one of the few non-native speakers of, for example, Spanish. I was reasonably successful. Mind you, my friends say that I speak Spanish with a kind of like weird Bergen accent. I'll accept that criticism. But the important thing is that we have to acknowledge and respect language, different languages. Now, that's not an easy thing for us to actually come to grips with in a society which is basically monolingual. Most Australians don't speak another language, and in fact, I get the worry at times that some communities discourage their children from actually keeping a native's tongue. So I think it's really important that council takes a real active role, wherever it can, encourage people to maintain the mother tongue, so that children can grow up in the future with a sense of pride and respect in where they're coming from. So that's fundamentally what I think is really important about developing a caring culture. You know, this is not some sort of woke idea. This is absolutely crucial for us to have that broad diversity of language, and that's what I would like to bring to this role, because it's going to be absolutely crucial as we're facing the new global challenges which are there, which are going to impact on our council, of wars, of AI, of global warming. So it's absolutely crucial that policies and issues such as culture and language are effectively thought through and designed in consultation with the affected communities. NDIS is a fantastic system, but just remember that it was premised on the idea that the private provider is better than the public provider. And in New South Wales, for example, 15,000 people moved from state provision of disability services to the private provider. So we have to keep that in mind. So when we hear talk of silos, I just sort of like wonder whether it's the fact that the private operators are the main provider of services in the disability sector. So, and as a socialist, I believe that the public sector is inherently a better way of actually delivering services. Now that's a big picture response to the question that you raised, but when I hear talk of silos in the disability sector, for example, I just wonder whether it's actually something that's inbuilt into the system. We have to be very aware of that, especially when the federal government, which has responsibility over NDIS funding, is actually looking to make cutbacks and make savings in the way they manage the system. When the governments talk about making cutbacks and savings, well, you know who invariably pay the price for that, and that's the end user, that's people living with disabilities.
I want to very much thank the candidates for making the time to come and speak to us candidly, to engage with questions off the floor. We very much appreciate it. And to the community members, thank you very much for your time, for coming here and for participating. Thank you.